How was Korea? Welcome back to After Our Happy Hour. We are your chaotic but cathartic co-hosts. I'm Sharon.
I'm Jamala.
I'm Vicky.
And today we're doing a kind of a part 3 of our Korea episodes that we've done in the past, except this time it's not just about Vicky because both Jam and I also went to Korea for different reasons, but we're all just going to talk about how Vicky felt about teaching in Korea, living in Korea, all the above, but also how Jam and I's experiences were when we visited Korea. So that's what's going to be talked about today.
I feel like it's also like travel tips, what you should expect, what you can do, little things like that about Korea too.
How about Vicky kick us off with a little bit of recap of what you were doing in Korea, just because you were the first one to arrive?
So I was there for 1 full year and I was an ESL teacher, which is an English teacher for students in Korea. And so I had a 1 year contract. And we talked more about like how to get into that in older episodes. This one's more just of a recap of like current feelings after I finished my 1 year and am at home and can talk mad shit basically. So
Yeah, we'll link the older episodes in the description so you could go check it out.
yeet. What about you two? Why were you guys in Korea?
So I basically quit my job in December and I just need to figure out my life. And Vicky happened to be in Korea during that time. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go visit her until her contract ends. So I was there from beginning of February until beginning of April. So for 2 months. And also while I was there, I was very focused on making content. So yeah, I was there for a medium term of stay.
Nice. I was supposed to go when they were there, but didn't work out because at the time they still had quarantine restrictions. But I recently went for 2 weeks in the beginning of May with my family to visit the rest of our family who lives in Korea.
Well, now we could go back to Vicky and you can kind of give us a debrief of your career experience, kind of the truth behind it, because maybe a lot of people don't know what it's like being a teacher and all that stuff. So, you can, give us a little debrief.
So, for context, I worked at like a private tutoring place. It's called Hagwons. And so, I don't know anything about public schools, but for me, my personal experience was I think my school wasn't bad if you compare it to other people's, but it's definitely bad in the terms of I grew up in America and I had certain expectations when it comes to working culture. There's standards that like you get respected and like certain things that you expect from your higher ups and stuff. So going to Korea, it's like you have to respect the hierarchy and like all this polite things that you kind of have to shift into, which I got used to, but then at the near end of my contract with COVID mixed into everything, I definitely had way more complaints. But overall, I think my school wasn't as bad as it could have been because I got certain things like I got paid on time, I had guaranteed housing, and none of those like fell through, which in some cases for other people, they would complain on like Reddit. It's like, oh, I didn't get the housing I thought, or the pictures that they showed me were a fraud, like things like that. I definitely lucked out and like I didn't see any bad things, but it was mainly the management at my school where I was just like, you guys saw this opportunity as a business over like people basically, which really fucked with me because I was like, I care about my safety and I don't care about your money.
There's no way of knowing these things before you go, right? Unless you already know people who are working there or if it happens to have a thread on Reddit.
Yeah, basically. I think that's like the trippy part about going to teach abroad. It's really you have to like test it out and see. Because even on Reddit, they don't specifically name schools because they could get sued for that. People will vaguely like drop certain characteristics that's like you can kind of draw hints, but I worked at a very small scaled, like 2-story school. So I couldn't find much information going into it. I think the biggest advice that I could give just to like test it out is always ask to speak to a teacher who works there because if they say no, that's already a red flag. And when you talk to the teacher, like kind of suss things out. I think my biggest part was just like they weren't super communicative about my students getting COVID. Like they weren't exactly safe about it. Like if a kid got COVID the day before, they'd be like, "Can you get tested?" And they don't clean the room or they don't kind of tell you until last minute. And I'm just like, did I get COVID? I was literally talking and teaching this kid yesterday, like, am I going to be okay? And I had to work while I got COVID, which was super unfair to me because I was like dying, but I had to like work through Zoom and things like that. I think outside of COVID, there were just very last minute management people. One of my biggest example is most schools will have this thing called winter or summer camp, which essentially means the students are on vacation from their like public normal school in the morning, but they'll still come into that private tutoring place an extra hour or two for more school. The day of winter camp, I walked into my school. I didn't know who I was teaching, what I was doing. Nothing was planned for any of us. Like, we didn't even have the school books to refer back to. And then all the teachers were standing outside in the hallway waiting for instructions. And randomly, one of the head teachers was like, "Why aren't you guys in your classroom? It's like class time. Go in." And then we're all just like, we don't know what classroom we're supposed to be in. We don't even know what kids we're teaching. And we were supposed to be teaching at that time. That's when we found out. So the first like 3 days, we were just like, no idea what we're going to do with this class because we have nothing planned.
Can you share the stories where the new teachers come and then they quit within a day?
Dude, when I say I left at a great time, I truly meant it because the last month that I was there, I had to like really hire a lot of teachers because everybody was quitting. Like, we had one teacher who was like, the day that it was his turn to start teaching, he literally came into the school, sat in the library and was like, "I feel embarrassed and I'm nervous and I'm not ready for this, so I quit."
Dude, what
Yikes.
about the girl who would literally disappear off the face of the earth?
She stuck around for a little bit, like maybe a month and a half. Like, we even asked her to come grab dinner with our group of friends, like all the foreigner teachers. And she already, like, during the dinner together, she was like, "Yeah, everything's a little chaotic, but if you guys can do it, I can do it." But slowly, as time like progressed, she got more and more like bitchy. Like, the look on her face, you could tell she was miserable. And then the day that she was supposed to pick up her Korean citizenship card for the year, she taught in the morning, went to pick it up, and then just disappeared. Dropped out of the Kakao Talk group chat, didn't say anything to anyone. She had afternoon classes to teach and she just didn't show up for them. So the whole school was like, "Where is she? Like, someone's supposed to teach her class, but we don't have anybody to teach her class." Until this day, nobody knows what happens to her. And we tried like finding her Facebook and like all these different things to see like if there's any updates, but there's literally like a ghost just disappeared. Nothing.
Is she dead?
We were like, it could be. But the only thing that was like, she's still alive and it might be intentional was like 2 days later, she left our teacher's group chat on Kakao, which was like, she intentionally had to go and like leave the chat. But it was wild. Like, we were all flabbergasted because we were like, where is this girl?
What do you do if you break a contract? Don't you like owe money?
It depends. So for her, she just ghosted and she wasn't living in the housing provided for our school. So I don't think they did anything. I think her sponsorship got revoked and she gets like 2 weeks before she has to leave Korea. But we don't know what happened to her. But then one of my friends that got really close and she stayed like half her contract, she like gave the 2 or 3 weeks notice and she had to pay back a plane ticket and then that month's rent or something like that.
Well, it's not too bad.
Yeah. That's the other thing about like teaching in Korea, especially in Hagwons, is it's definitely a business over education type of system. In America, they teach you to work with the student. If they're failing, you got to find the root cause. You know, you kind of nurture this kid to make them better. But in Korea, it's like a very skewed outlook on education. For example, we're not allowed to give kids 100% because on the business side, if this kid is too smart for this hagwon, then parents will remove them from the school to go to a different one or a better one because they think that school's not good enough for them. But we also cannot fail them if they do horrible. So then there's this like gap that you always have to keep the kids in, so they can't be the worst and they can't be the best. So if you really want to make sure that a student gets what they want to learn, I don't know if hagwon life is for you because it's brutal.
You would not do it again, huh?
I don't think so. I can't handle it. Yeah, it was a good experience for 1 year. I would recommend it to people, especially if you're curious about it.
Okay, well, did you like Korea?
So I did like Korea because I've never been to Asia and I like never traveled in that sense where it's like long-term travel, stay there for a year and get like all these experiences to be a local. But it was definitely the type of travel that I prefer, where I get time to like explore and really be immersed into everything. But I don't think it was just like, oh, I'm so in love that I want to like stay there forever type of thing, which I know certain people experienced. But I think that just is how I am as a person. Like, I'll never be like, oh my God, I love this so much. Let me be here forever. I think I liked it for my first Asia trip, but I want to go back with friends that I like because I don't think I
Was
really
I
thought
not a person that you like?
Yes, you were, but like
She's like,
more
I would like
friends, you
to go
know?
with friends that I
Okay, but
like.
we
Bitch,
both
I was there
fucking
for you for 2 months. Was I not one of the friends that you
Okay, I low-key don't know what either of you guys did in Korea, to be honest.
see, that's the thing is
Do you
like
not
we
watch my
struggled.
vlogs?
I did, but like, what? I don't
It was
know.
just like very casual. Like we went to cafes and we walked around and saw and ate things. But I think the language barrier was the biggest thing for me that made me feel like I didn't truly experience what I probably should have. When I like watch Doobie Doobop's vlogs and stuff, and I'm like, I don't see Korea the way she sees it because she's so immersed into it because she speaks the language.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, Jamila, how'd you feel about it?
Because I was there for shorter term and my goal was basically like a vacation. So I think almost every single day or at least every single weekend, it was always packed with things to do. And I think honestly, the 2 months that I had in Seoul was just maybe if I had one more month, it would be good too. But like I feel like 2, 3 months is completely like what I needed to explore all of Seoul. And in terms of like traveling outside of Seoul, like I went to Busan, Jeju, and I feel like that was good enough for me because I'm a big city girl. So then even like for Busan and Jeju, it was still like very chill for me. Like it was not city enough for me. And I know that like other parts of Korea are more chill like that. So that's why I'm like, oh, if I go to other parts, like it'd be cool, but I'm not like dying to go. And kind of like Vicky, if I were to go back, I want to go back like with Sharon or like even with the friends that I met in Korea, someone who's more local. Because definitely during the times that when I went out with them, I felt so much more comfortable and at ease just knowing that like they could fully communicate and they probably know like the best restaurants or just like things to do, having that level of comfort around me versus when me and Vicky go out, it was always like, let's just get
A
lost and then
mess.
like we'll see how
Yeah.
things go and just use our broken Korean and stuff, which was fine. I would say one thing though, when I first got there, remember I cried to you, Sharon?
I
Oh,
remember
Yeah.
yeah.
that.
So then it was when I got quarantine and then it was about 2 weeks in and then I just cried because it was actually my first time being in a foreign country like that in terms of I don't know the language and I thought I would adjust faster or adapt faster, but when it kind of didn't happen and I was feeling just kind of a little set back by language barrier, I was like, oh my God, is my experience gonna be ruined? I just guess I had these expectations of myself to adjust and it didn't. And then I adjusted to being a foreigner, so everything was completely fine afterwards. But yeah, overall, I think my Korea trip was really fun, obviously, because I also met like really good people. I didn't have expectations going into like of what I wanted to do, but I feel like I've done everything that like I've wanted to do. And if I were to go back, it would like be going back with friends for sure.
Mm. What about you,
Hmm.
Sharon? I feel like you would have a very different experience than us because you speak the language, but I don't know.
I think for me, I wanted to be in Korea when you guys were there because I had never been to Korea with friends. So when I found out that the timing didn't align, I was like, sad about it. But then leading up to my Korea trip, I was really excited. But I also don't think I had that many expectations just because I hadn't been there in like 6 years. But I think day one of landing in Korea, I was like, this is a core memory for me. I remember
Oh.
vaguely Korea trips before in my past and not thinking anything of them. But then when I saw Korea, I was like, holy shit, it looked like this, or like this was what Korea was like. And I really, really like my family, or I really like my dad's side. I like my mom's side too. I just my dad's side is really, really, really fun. I think it's because like I have a brother, and most of my dad's siblings are sisters. Like he has a lot of sisters, and so I think that aspect really was really fun. And one of my uncle loves drinking, so you already know his energy is great. Another uncle is like cheesy with his wife, so it's like super cute, and it's just nice to see different personalities
Yeah.
within the family. So family aspect was really, really good. I mean, you guys saw my vlog. Like, I think it's just because I hadn't been in so long, and my perspectives on like being Korean and stuff just has changed over time. So while I was there, I found myself like really appreciating the country and the people and whatever. So overall, my experience was really good. I just know that I really want to go back with friends and be in Seoul because I'm so used to suburban parts of Korea and it's fine, but I'm like Jam, like I'm a city person at heart. So even being in like Gangnam for a day, I was like, oh my god, I love it. It's just what I always imagined like Seoul to be. And so I want to go back and stay in the city for like a week or two.
Gangnam is my absolute favorite part of Seoul
Dude,
because where Vicky is, we're near Hongdae, and then I think we went out to like cafes and stuff. But the first time I went out to Gangnam, it was with one of my Bumble friends. I was like, "Holy crap! This is like what I imagine Asia kind of to be. Like this is the expectations and just whatever I see, and I love all the people. Like it's like so crowded and all the lights, and I love the liveliness. Yeah, Gangnam is my favorite part of Seoul.
Did you experience any culture shock though, Sharon?
oh, 100%.
Oh,
Oh,
like what?
like
We
what?
can get into it.
One, fruit is so expensive.
I have so many pictures of fruits because I'm like, what is this price?
I think I ate fruits a total of 3 or 4 times, and one of them was
It was because I bought it for Jam.
no, and one of them was because I was at Revolving Sushi and I hadn't had fruits in maybe a month, and I was like, I should eat those pineapples.
The luxury out there.
And then the last time was Busan.
It's just crazy because comparing how cheap food is, like delivery and getting food at restaurants is so cheap. And then you see a watermelon for like $28 and you're just like, what the fuck? But it's because there's not enough land to just grow things abundantly. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Dude, I realized I think it's harder to be Korean or like Korean American with proficient Korean than it is to be a foreigner because when I walk in stores or when I try to get around, I speak to people in Korean, right? So they expect or they think I'm
Yeah,
Korean and
yeah.
I live here. There was this one time I went to go eat by myself and then it was like you order first and then you sit. And then I went up to the screen and I like tapped it and then I was like, can I sit anywhere in Korean? And he was like, you have to order first. And I was like, I thought I just did. And then so I had to like do it again and then go sit. And then I stayed to watch someone. I stayed to see what they did with their dishes because I didn't know what to do. So I feel like it was really hard in terms of being a proficient Korean speaker. It's kind of hard because everyone just potentially thinks you're stupid.
I always thought that was like the crazy part about it's probably all of Asia, but how unknown they are to foreigners. Not even people who look Asian, but especially when they meet people who like are black or like don't look Asian, they are like shook. But I'm just like, I know you watch TV. So like, is it so hard to believe that these people travel because they travel?
I think it's just America is such a melting pot that you forget that other countries are not like that.
Yeah, that was a big culture shock for me.
Another thing, taxi drivers are freaking crazy. And I know people really think that all Koreans are like super respectful and kind and patient. I hope you know that's the minority, I feel like, unless you work in
Like service industry.
service industry, but
I feel like it's the older people who just don't give a fuck. Younger, more our age or like collegey, they're a little more respectful and like, you know, they know boundaries.
maybe. I hope so. The second we got off the plane, there were 2 lines. One, it's basically like if you are exempt from quarantining through like negative COVID test and vaccine status and you enter that and you have a QR code in advance, there's a line. Versus if you didn't fill out the application before, you have to sign up in a different line kind of thing. There was this Korean man, he's definitely from there. He was like yelling at an employee who was probably our age or like maybe a little older, saying like, why the fuck are you guys so unorganized? Like, we're like waiting here for so long. And the guy was definitely not talking back to him. He was just like, oh, this is the procedure. It's because you didn't do your QR code in advance and whatever. And the yelling guy was like, oh, you young people just talk back to elders nowadays. Like, why are you talking back to me? And you know how Asia is very like respect your elders
Yeah.
versus here in America, it's like if you're a disrespectful person, I'm not gonna respect you.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of older, I think people are like that. Koreans, if you don't get your way, they kind of yell.
Yeah. Also, back to like the car thing, there's no rules for motorcyclists. So if you're in the city, doesn't matter if you're on the road that's meant for walking, motorcycles still go on there. Like they don't give a
Oh,
fuck. If they can't get through traffic, they'll just go on to where people walk. So
Yeah. very fast paced.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, one other thing is, you know how in Korea, the way you talk has to be very respectful depending on like elders, right? I feel that's the one thing I was always kind of scared of. Like, what if I accidentally don't add like a yo? Or like, what if I accidentally disrespect someone by like
Mhm.
saying the wrong thing? I feel that's one of my fears too.
I feel like though once you start talking, they know you're foreign.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not you directly, but just in general.
I think the funniest part is when we both walk into restaurants or whatever, and then they would try to talk to us, and they would say this long thing to us, and we're like, "Huh?" And then
Yeah.
and then they will be like, "Oh, they're probably like foreigners, right?" No, they repeat the same exact thing. Like maybe they switch words here and there, but we're like, "What makes you think that we're gonna understand it again?"
Exactly.
So we're like, "Nah."
I think I was surprised that there's not as many English speaking people as I thought there would be, but it's probably just a generation difference maybe, but
But
But even in
in
like
Seoul,
popular
yeah, when we
places.
go like cafe and stuff like that, I mean, they know like basic English, but I guess I expected it to be more just based on other like way past vlogs I've watched of Mikey Chen where they're like, oh, it'll be fine. There's like English everywhere. I'm like, there aren't English everywhere.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, I want to kidnap one of my students to like bring me around so that they can like navigate with
translate
me.
for you.
Yeah, because I'm just like, there's literally like nobody that can speak English and can help me.
Wait, I have one more. Trash.
Oh.
Bruh.
Dude,
I know.
Korea's so good at trash, recycle, and food waste that if you live in apartment complexes, they like lock the bins and you need like a key card to throw away your stuff because they don't want you to throw things in the wrong spot. And if you do, you can get fined kind of thing. And I was like, dude, how do they accommodate for foreigners who don't know that? Like at hotels and stuff?
It was a fucking struggle, was what it was.
Yeah, I freaking bet.
Yeah. I respected it because I'm like eco go green friendly, but it was still like me and Jam the amount of times where it's like this is a mission. Like we need a designated time to take out trash because it's a whole mission.
That was the one thing I just really could not like. I would always Vicky was the who always did the food
Yeah,
trash.
I was the one throwing
I
it away,
couldn't.
bro. I have two more. Small talk. Korea does not do small talk at all. Never. That was what culture shocked me again coming back to America was like everywhere that I went, even if it is like a 5-second interaction, there's always like, so how's your day going? You know, they try to get to know you and I'm like, this is a 5-second interaction. You don't need to do that. Like, let's just move on from life.
Jam's probably like, I want you to talk to me.
I don't think
That's
I've
how you
actually
get to know people.
No, I don't have that many experiences like that. It's because I feel like I might be the opposite. Where remember that one time when we went to PTD LA, and then the next day at a K-pop store, it was like a really long line, and I can't remember if I should.
Oh yeah, you made friends.
Well, is that really a friend?
She's the person who talks to people.
No, wait. I can't remember if she talked to me first or I talked to her first. I can't remember which
I'm
was the
pretty
case.
sure you talked to her first.
Maybe because I thought she was like alone in line or something like that. Yeah, I'm actually the type of person if I like am interested and I see you like alone or something, I'll spark a conversation.
I
Maybe
see.
it's just an extrovert thing. Maybe the majority of Korea is just introverted.
Maybe.
Sounds like it because they
Oh,
did not
that's
talk
funny.
to me at all. My other culture shock was you are allowed to bring outside drinks or other places' drinks into restaurants, especially if they don't sell it, versus in America, they'll never let you.
Wait, America cares if you bring outside.
I think it depends on the type
Yeah.
of restaurants. When we're in Sonoma, which is a fancier restaurant, then they for sure like, hey, like we don't
Oh.
let outside drinks in.
This is a small one, but I really like the elevators in Korea. There's like a undo option where if you press it once and it's wrong, you press it again and
Oh,
it like
really?
goes away. Yeah.
Oh,
That's like
that's
most of the
cool.
elevators in Korea, but not in America.
Things just make more sense in Korea. You can tell that people aren't stupid. No offense.
Do you have like examples?
Like public transportation, like in New York, if somebody pushes you, you're gonna die. In Korea, there's like sliding doors. Like that just logically makes sense to do.
dude.
No, but also I think people, I don't know if it's
Oh,
respect.
they get in line.
Yeah, but people know, okay, let all the passengers come out first and then you guys could go in first because that's the most
Mhm.
efficient way to do it instead of everyone trying to push and accident could happen and it makes it so much less efficient. But there's just this like unspoken rules about how to use things and how to make the world city more efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, the subway blew my mind at how efficient it is, down to like synchronizing everything across the whole subway. And what I mean by that is like there's numbers for every door. And so if you use an app to see, like, oh, I need to go here, they tell you if you exit at this door for this station or this train, you're closer to the exit. And
Oh,
then they
that's
tell
cool.
you like these certain sections have pregnancy seats, and it's like all labeled so clearly. Like there's so many mini details in their public transportation that makes life so efficient, because like it's the little things, but it just like when you're in a rush, it matters, and it's just like everybody's constantly in a rush, so it's like so efficient.
I think shopping centers in subway stations is the smartest thing ever. Like, oh, if you're waiting for a bus, why not shop around? Like, so
Gangnam
smart.
Station,
Dude.
my favorite place to shop at. I
Oh,
bought so much stuff
so
from there.
nice. I know, so nice.
Actually, I guess one of the expectations I had with Korea was like things were very cheap, because I just assumed Korea would be like very similar to China for some reason, but it wasn't the case. I feel like the best way I could put it is whatever I'm paying in America, I feel like everything is overpriced. But whatever I'm paying in Korea, I feel like it's worth that price. And wherever I go China, it's just that wow, that's so cheap. So when I got there, I was like, oh, things are actually more expensive than I thought. And then I didn't think I was gonna shop that much, because I was like, damn, things are kind of expensive. Like, if not, it could be more expensive than catching a sale in the US. But then I discovered Gangnam Station, and then my world was just changed. And then I kept going back, and then yeah, I shopped a lot.
Oh my god, can we talk about the men in Korea? First of all, the people on TikTok who are like, all these men are so good, like Tinder is so different, is a damn lie. They for sure like get the swipes that like men look good, and they're like almost good to the point where like you're for sure catfishing me. Like this is not you. And then there's like the whole other section that's like, this is it. This is fucking weird. But when you walk around Korea, like men there are definitely more attractive.
The thing is, I don't know if it's because it's all Asian men and that's our preference, you know?
But they're so tall.
I know. Okay, literally, I don't know what's with like Asian water, but even when I was like in Beijing and in Korea, everyone's pretty much at least 5'10".
Bro, but like me and Jam love to play this game in like the subway and stuff. We'll look at a guy, be like, how tall is he?
No, the reason why we started playing that game is because Vicky kept saying she really wants to date someone who's really, really tall. So we wanted to see what would that look like. But I think we did really bad guesstimates, honestly. Like we way either overestimated or underestimated. But yeah, we'll always be like, Vicky, go stand next to them. Let's see what the height difference is. But even just like on the train stations, like there's always pretty good looking guys. I mean, they're under a mask, but you know, especially in Taiwan.
Yeah, they dress so well. Like, I think that's the most attractive thing is like, I don't even need to really see your face, but when I look at your fit, like, you put thought and there's like a style to you, and it's just so attractive.
Same with girls. I think they put in a lot of effort into like doing the hair or just wearing a nice outfit, and it's really nice because I told you guys, even coming back, I wore just a nicer dress shirt and some slacks, and I went out. I was like, why do I feel so formal? Like, what the heck? But in Korea, that's like
Dude, yeah.
casual.
Dude, I dressed like nice, and then Alvin was like, "Did you just come from work?" I was like, "What did you know?"
It's like so dramatic here if you look
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, I thought you just came from the office," and Sandy was like, "No, Alvin, it's a fit." I was like, "Yeah,
Thank
Alvin,
you.
you stupid."
You would never catch people around our age, like maybe post grad and like older, to dress not good
Like
in
bummy.
Korea. Yeah. Things just match, even if it's like a bum fit, like sweats and a sweater, they still look put
They
together.
look
Like,
good.
yeah, it's like a fitted sweat, like athleisure look. And so, like, if you go out with like mixed match socks and like a weird pattern something, like you feel so out of place. Versus in America, like people don't give a fuck what you wear here. That's one thing I'm trying to get better at that Korea taught me, is just like at least look put together. Like I don't have to look
feel good too.
Yeah, but I just feel
Yeah.
cleaner and like nice.
Whenever I put on like earrings or jewelry with my outfits, I immediately just feel like everything is pulled together, and I have this, I don't know, more confidence even maybe because I just feel so put together versus in the US. Sometimes I just get so bummy. I'm just like,
But that's also one thing Korea taught me is like how do I phrase it? Not really not giving a fuck, but like making sure your appearance look good in public is so casual there. Like girls will just whip out powder and
Mhm.
mascara on the train and like nobody even bats an eye at them doing that. Or they'll like vlog or like kind of film and take pictures in public and like no one really cares because it's so normal there that like I kind of picked up on that habit. So now here, like if I see my reflection, I will literally stand there and like fix myself and not feel like weird because I'm like, there's literally nothing wrong with that. I'm just trying to make sure that I look presentable. So if you're gonna think I'm weird for using my reflection, like fuck you, you know? That's like Korea really taught me that. Yeah.
Maybe I just wasn't in the city enough to notice stuff like that. Like even for men, I remember I texted you guys like, "Wow, this entire trip I was like, why are Vicky and Jam hyping up the men so much?" And then one day in the city, I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh
Gangnam.
shit."
Yeah.
I feel like Gundam had good looking, but Itaewon, maybe because we were out on the weekend, so everyone was going
It's the
out. I
young,
was like,
yeah.
Now that we're talking about it, I'm like, I kind of miss it. I want to go
Yeah,
back.
let's go back.
see, I
I
miss
want
it
to.
because I know we would have so much fun, or I miss, the
Social aspect?
yeah, like social aspect. Because I obviously miss it because I miss the drinking culture there, the karaoke there.
Yeah.
Like, I love the activities I get to do there, but I don't, I guess, like
Mhm.
necessarily miss like Korea. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
I feel like I like how casual drinking is there. Like you could randomly at any place, anytime get a soju and just like casually drink.
Yeah. When people say, "What did you like about Korea the most?" or "What do you miss about Korea the most?" I said the drinking culture and the
The
karaoke.
drinking
Oh,
and the shopping.
Drinking,
Oh.
shopping, karaoke.
Jam in 3 words.
damn.
Actually, yes, that's all right. That was basically my entire
Yeah.
Korea. It was just
For 2 months you were there, that's what you did.
all right, everybody. That was our recap on our Korea trip. Even though we've been back for almost 3 months now. Actually, I think it's been 3 months now. Sorry, 2 months. But yeah, that was a recap of Vicky's Korea teaching experience, my kind of in the middle long term stay, and then Sharon's short trip about Korea. And it just went in all different directions as per usual. This was honestly a nice conversation for us because I don't think we actually ever really fully talked about our Korea trip. So it was cool to hear like different culture shocks that we had and such as that. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys have any questions, feel free to DM us, leave it in the comments. You know where to reach us. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.